Okay, this is the second set of these type of wheels that I've had to fix. And when you pick up the axle of your bike, that wheel should turn at some point. It's never, there's always the heavy spot. Usually it's at the valve stem, especially on these lighter wheels. And when you pick that up, if those bearings are free, it should spin down to the lowest part. This one doesn't turn at all. It's wherever I stop it. If you take a wheel that's in a hub, I don't have another one. If you pick this wheel up, I'm touching on the hub there. If you pick this up and hold it by the hub, it'll free turn by itself. See? So if this was on a race bike and you lifted it up, it will spin wherever the heaviest point is. And if your bearings are good in your wheel, that's what it should do. The newer wheels, there's a lot more friction in them because of the grease in the hub, but it should be able to do that. These are a brand new set. If they don't do that, they don't turn right. So what you have here, this is the matching wheel. Let me see if I can set that there. So we open this up. This one was tight even when it wasn't, when the pieces weren't tight. These bearings, oh, this one's tight, hold on. These bearings need some preload when they're put in, but they shouldn't go in and out of your hub like that. Here the play. It's got, it's wore out. The hubs are made too thin. They need to have some meat around there because you're riding on everything on this little 2 millimeters, less than 2 millimeter of material on the bearing surface. You put that in, you hear the noise. Well, that wasn't just it. Listen to this. Hear that? Water. Water inside the wheel. That's not great. Especially in the winter time around here. I don't know if anyone's had problems with them blowing apart, but you really shouldn't have water in your wheel. The problem with these wheels is, when I took it apart, the bearings spin fine. Bearings are good. But if you measure the center line of this insert, we're like 26.1. 8, so 26.2 say, 26.19. This distance needs to be slightly oversized to what the OD riding surface is on the bearing to prevent preloading. And what happens is when that's put in there, and as soon as you tighten the nuts on there, it's preloading the outer races together, and the inside ones are forced out, which is causing the bearings to ride to one side of the race. If they're riding to the one side of the race, they don't spin very well because of the friction. So that was 26.2 roughly, right? So if we leave that bearing into there, it's on that surface there now. Put our caliper in on that surface there and go down to the bearing surface. Right there, 26.3. I'm not sure how accurate I'm getting at this with the camera. Oh, see, I moved the bearing. The bearings should be in there tight. Not so tight that they jam them up, but they should at least hold in there by themselves. 26.22. 26.25. This should be smaller, like 26.15, to make sure that there's no preload on the bearing surface. 26.45, that's probably more accurate. It's 26 points. It depends how I'm holding it, but I know it's not right. 26.4. And these bearings shouldn't be in there that loose. They need to be in there so that they're not shrinking the outside of the bearing, causing preload onto the bearing itself that way. And you can feel that if they're too tight when you spin them, because it'll feel like there's a rough spot in there. So you want minimum outer preload, but you need more space between the bearings so that when those dust caps are on, and especially these ones were on so tight that wheel, you could hardly spin that dust, the inside by itself when it was sitting there. And when it's on the wheel, yeah, everyone spins them, they spin fine, whatever, but that doesn't tell you anything, because you got a lot of force from the center of this wheel up to there that you're forcing on that. You hear the water in there? There, you can see where it's coming out the valve stem, right? That's nice, eh? Just wanted to share a little information on some of these wheels, just to help make everybody a little more informed. Thank you. Okay, what I did is I set up the insert on the bottom, sticking out of the hub, so it would actually hold my bearing into that housing right. So if I set that there, that way I can get an accurate reading without pushing the bearing down. So if I read that, I'm 20. Sorry, 26.4. Try a couple spots first. 26.5. 26.42. So we're like 0.2 millimeters of extra preload. That should be the other way, like about 0.05 to 0.1. 0.1 almost makes it so that you hear a noise, but it gives it bearings run true because there's no preload that way. So this is way too much preload. Okay, I've made the changes to the inside hub. Now, up there, if we spin this, it'll roll by itself. That's the way it should be. With no movement this way, that there is a perfect running bearing system. So if we set that now, say this is the race bike frame. If you set it there, there you go. Valve stem's the heavy side, and or heavier side, but it'll come down, there it'll move back. That's what your wheel should do. If your bearings are good and your wheel is good, it should oscillate like that. These wheels don't have a lot of weight in them, so it makes it a little trickier to see that, but there's always the heavy spot on every wheel. I don't care what kind of wheel it is, especially this one because it's got water in it, so it should water should be down in one spot. Thank you. Okay, the wheels are back on the bike. Lift the wheel, that's what it should do. Try the other one. Lift the wheel. That's what they should do. And I see it all the time, and you can put up with stuff like that if you get the cheap stuff from China. I don't know where these are made, but they're not cheap. And for the price of them, they should have a little better quality control than what they do. I've been building wheels for 20 some years. They're a pain in the butt, but you got to do it right or there's no sense in doing it at all. So, thank you.